Vietnam's registered foreign investment jumped 61% to 34.65 billion US dollars as manufacturers tested the country's capacity to absorb further growth. Van Nguyen of JLL Vietnam discusses this on the program. Hi Van, so is Vietnam building real manufacturing depth or just absorbing Asia's overflow?
Oh, that's the big question. What we known about Vietnam before was kind of like the destination for manufacturers who looking for labor intensive and also cost saving. But what we have seen in the market in the last decade, showing that steel market have been evolving. We see the new FDI coming in the high tech sector, in electronics, semiconductor. So what we can expect to see Vietnam is become a production hub to the strategic manufacturing setup.
Van, where does the first bottleneck hit? Labor, power, land, or suppliers?
Actually, why the four factor is all very important, but what we have seen in the shortage currently is about the skilled labor set, because what we have seen is with all new FDI coming to the country, the requirement for the trained workforce is very high in the last few years, and the skilled labor resources is what we see will be the shortage in the short term. However, the government have been invest into education and also training system. What we see the improvement in recently. And also what we need to highlight is that Vietnam is a long country. So why we see the four factor is important, but also varies from the different reason. For example, like what we see in terms of power supply, it could be a concern for the north of Vietnam, but in the south it's quite released. So we see the difference between different parts in the country for the fourth pillar to attract the new FDI coming to this market.
I see. And so, Van, as more capacity concentrates in Vietnam, how should manufacturers manage that risk?
So that's actually reflect what I just discussed, because Vietnam is a long country. What we have seen in the markets is one manufacturer, they can select different parts of the country for different production lines. For example, what we see from a case study for automotive, for example, they put the battery factory in the center of Vietnam, while the assembly and main production line in the north. So what the manufacturing can look at this country to see how they put the new manufacturer is to strategically select the location based on the advantage of different regions in Vietnam. Again, we see a long country with three key economic regions, so we can attract different manufacturer, different production line in different parts of the country.
Great insights, Van. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Again, that was Van Nguyen, Head of Transactions for Northern Vietnam at JLL Vietnam. For more news, visit manufacturing.asia.